Hello and welcome to Rome Total War. This is going to be a new series on the channel. It's a game that many of you are probably going to be familiar with. It combines turn-based elements with real-time strategy elements, so in that sense it's got some similarities to both Age of Empires and Heroes of Might and Magic, which are the other two games I'm currently playing on the channel. I'm going to be playing as the House of Scipii, which is because I've already done a campaign as House of Brutii in the past, not on the channel, but I've already done that, so I don't want to do that again. And House of Julii, I feel like that's just like the generic faction, and I just can't do it. It goes against all my contrarian tendencies. So it's going to be the House of Scipii that we're going to be playing as. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I always say that the game is massively rigged in favor of the Romans. So I put myself on the hardest difficulty on both the campaign and the battle map. So we're going to see how it goes. Here is the description if you want to pause the video and read it. I'm not going to read all that out loud. I'm just going to jump into it. Here we go.
My family, the House of Scipii, are beloved of the gods. A proud boast, but true, all the same. In return, we have served Rome, ruled well, led her armies to glory. It has cost us dearly, despite the love of the gods. Sometimes the hatred of men is stronger. Our dead lie in many graves, put there by Carthaginian swords and a few Greek ones. Even Roman blades have taken Scipii lives. That we do not forget or forgive. So, now our time has come. The spirits of the dead cry out for blood. I will lead our family in this undertaking. The gods will grant us vengeance. When Sicily is Roman, when Carthage is crushed, when the other Roman families are gone, when the world is mine, then I will stand before the gods and be worthy of their love, and worthy to rule Rome.
So that very unhinged sounding man is going to be the guy that we help to take over the world. So we're not really the good guys here, but there you go. Anyway, House of Scipii, that puts us up against, as was mentioned, the Carthaginians, one of Rome's most famous adversaries. We're also going to be up against the Greeks, which should be interesting, although I think the Brutii will be mainly focused on them and we're going to be mainly focused on the Carthaginians. The Senate immediately wants us to take over Syracuse, which is owned by the Greeks. Which is slightly different to how most other factions will start. Like, if you look at the Brutii, their first opponent pretty much is Apollonia, which is rebels. The Julii have to take, I think that's Segesta. But we are pretty much forced to immediately go to war with a full-on rival faction, which should be interesting. But yeah, I think this game is pretty heavily rigged in favor of the Romans. You are pretty much the strongest faction, especially after the Marian reforms, and in addition to that you start off the game with two allies, which are the other two Roman families, who are also going to pretty much steamroll the map. So I've decided to go with max difficulty. Another thing I'm thinking of doing is I'm actually going to potentially, like, this is not a hard and fast rule, I'm potentially going to turn on the other Roman families as soon as it becomes possible to do so. So we have the... where is it? There's a screen somewhere that, there we go. So you can see here that we are hated by the plebeians. And once we gain their trust, which is mainly done through conquest, we will have the ability to turn on the two rival Roman factions / families, and we can take over Rome itself. What I did the first time I played through this campaign was I already had 50 territories before I turned on Rome, So it was literally just a case of marching into Rome and taking it over, and then winning the campaign. Which is kind of the easy way to do it, because I imagine that by far the toughest opponents on this map are going to be, on this campaign, are going to be the rival Roman families. So I'm going to challenge myself to turn on them as soon as it becomes possible to do so. Within reason, obviously. If I'm completely stretched, it would be foolish to turn on them, but I suspect we'll be okay. So here's the campaign map. You may already be familiar with it, but basically we have 2 towns to start with, Capua and Messana. And I think I'm good just to jump straight into this. Send our spy in, see what they've got. So they've got Dionysius, the factionaire. Got 2 units of hoplites, they've got 2 units of militia hoplites, some archers, and some peltasts. Which is decent. We don't have too much here. Got Hastati, Roman archers and velites, and then in Messana itself we have 3 more units of Hastati, which I'm going to combine. So we're probably about on a par with them now, but we go to Quintius Scipio here, open up the mercenary recruitment scroll, and we hire some mercenary hoplites. They cost 170 to upkeep, which is quite a lot, but if you look at the mercenary peltasts, they are also 170, but I think they're going to be much less useful, so I'm happy to go with the hoplites. I'm going to leave the peltasts for now. Because they are mercenaries, they are going to charge a horrendous amount for upkeep. Actually, same as the Hastati, so that's not too bad. Perhaps their stats are lower. No. Okay, they seem surprisingly reasonable. Maybe we'll keep them alive. I think we're good to attack immediately. Let's do it. Attack a neutral faction? Yes, let's just go for it. Gonna get a siege tower and a ram. And that should be okay to build in one turn. And let's look at what we can build. So we'll train some Town Watch, just because we should get some kind of units here. We have the Building Browser scroll, which is worth looking at. As the Romans, we do have the ability to keep upgrading all the way up to a huge city. And that is one massive advantage that the Romans have compared to the barbarians and things like that, who end up dealing with major issues with squalor and things like that. We can just kind of keep building and keep going right into the ultra late game. So if we look at this settlement details scroll, we can see that we are growing quite a lot. The growth is somewhat impeded by squalor, but not too badly, really. Distance from the capital slightly bothers the people, but for the most part they're happy because of the governor and because of law. Squalor again, not too bad. There's some upkeep. That's the main thing that's dampening our income, but that's fine. We're about to go to war, so people will die and then we won't have to pay them anymore. We can build various buildings. The choice between the Shrine to Saturn and the Shrine to Vulcan, so that's probably the most interesting choice we have in terms of buildings, because they're all going to offer fairly different things. Also, if we build a port, we can get the Shrine to Neptune, which as you kind of progress you can keep upgrading it. Get the Corvus Quinquerim. I'm not sure what that does actually, but I assume it's one of the best naval units in the game. And the... don't know how to pronounce that. Diceri? Something like that. On the other hand, if we go down the Saturn route, we can get the Arcani, which are like these kind of... probably not entirely historically accurate, like, ninja units, from what I remember. You also get lots of public order bonuses because of law and happiness, plus you get upgraded weapons and all that, which you also get from the other pantheons, from what I can see. Yep. And then the Shrine to Vulcan will ultimately lead to extra experience. That's about it, really. That's probably the worst one, I think. I think it's going to be between Saturn and Neptune. A naval town like this, I feel like we definitely want to go the Neptune route, so we're going to go with a port initially. That should bring in more money as well from trade. Capua over here is going to be, in the late game, it's going to be a very dangerous front line against the other Roman families, but in the early game we can focus on using it to earn us money. And I think again, a port is just the obvious thing to start with. And we'll train some Hastati as well. I think the game is intending us to send this chap here over to Sicily to help us take on the Greeks. I think we can probably take it without his help, but we will send him over. Along with some of the Hastati. And then we've got some more coming, so we don't have to worry too much about leaving the main town unguarded. Plus, there's literally nothing that's going to attack Capua, so we don't need to worry about that at all. We're at war with the Greeks. I blame that one on the Senate. That is not our fault. We were told to do it. We have literally no one else we can fight unless we go across the sea and start taking over the cities that are meant for the Brutii to attack. But I'm not going to do that. We're just going to go straight in, take out the Greeks. Potentially just this one town. I think after that we've got a Carthaginian town. It's going to be to the west of Sicily. And the Brutii will probably focus on the Greeks. Although I'm tempted to go for Sparta, just so I have a foothold in this kind of going towards Asia Minor and Southeast Europe, is that right? I've never heard Greece described as Southeast Europe, but I guess technically that must be correct. Anyway, end turn. That was extremely quick, but I guess we haven't revealed too much of the map yet. Diplomatic information, everyone else has declared war on the Greeks, not too surprising. Now let's see if we can just jump off here. Join our two armies together and attack. Before I do, have we got any more we can recruit? No, just the Peltasts. Okay, that's fine. I think we're good to go. It's massively in our favour. Now we see the real-time strategy side of the game.
A battle's never an easy thing to...
Okay, second attempt at this because the first was just... I don't even want to talk about it. It was shocking. So you can see that they have these big arrow towers here, which are going to absolutely chew up any units in range. So if you send your entire army forward on the assumption that your battering ram is not going to get destroyed, you might find yourself with some pretty heavy losses. In addition, going up the siege tower, you might find that one unit at a time jumps into a huge opposing force, and that an entire army gets massacred until you eventually do break through, and then you take the town square, finding an opposing Peltast on the walls, which is trying to run away but somehow can't do so, and somehow that makes you not take over the town square. I don't know how that works, but okay, we won't repeat that again. The army's going to hang back until we either have the gates down or have taken over the walls successfully. So you can see that on the walls they have archers and also, well, just 2 units of archers. On the gatehouse they've got Peltasts. And then down on the ground somewhere they've got hoplites, 2 units of hoplites, one of which will likely come up to the walls to try and stop us. I'm going to speed this up slightly. One of them's actually going back, which is all good. Ah, there we go, hoplites on the walls there. There's going to be a bit of a problem. Not sure if the battering ram's going to get destroyed this time. If it does, I think we're going to take some very heavy losses trying to take on the hoplites on the walls. Here we go. It's going to take a while for them to all climb up the siege tower. The first time they go up it, it's not so bad. They will wait until they have a full-on force on the top floor, if you can call it a floor, on the top platform I guess you'd call it. and then they'll all jump on at the same time, which is fine. Plus they'll be up against archers, which should be very easy to kill. Ah yes, the ram has been destroyed. Okay. This is going to be tough. Going to take heavy losses trying to take the walls because of the hoplites. I still think it's mostly worth doing it this turn. Potentially should have waited one more turn, got some more siege towers. But we've committed now. We have to own our mistakes. I would like to get as many units up there as quickly as possible. Archers should be able to do some small amount of damage to the hoplites. Absolutely massive losses coming in here. Quite far away, but they still seem to be getting many shots off. I don't want to go too far back. Oh my god, they're getting absolutely destroyed. You know what? Yes, they're gonna have to run. Yeah, I don't want to take too many losses, but I know that it's going to take more than one unit to actually break through these walls. Don't mind if the archers get killed. They're not going to do too much. Just want to try and soften up those hoplites if possible. Not sure they're strong enough, but we'll try. Don't seem to be getting shot actually. Not sure why. As soon as they go up, I'm gonna send another unit of Hastati to back them up. Here they go. The archers should get absolutely destroyed. You can see that some of them are gonna get pushed off the back of the walls, falling down in their masses. Right, it's time to bring up more units before the hoplites get here. They're gonna come in very quickly. You can see them, they're already filing in. I need to make sure I don't lose momentum on the walls. I already lost about half the actual soldiers in that unit. These guys are already going to come and climb up. I'm not going to let them get momentum against me like last time. That was pretty dreadful. I will have edited it out, as you probably already noticed. Here we go, the hoplites are going to come. They're going to lower their spears and do some serious damage. Archers are already fighting to the death, but they were never the real threat. It's these guys we have to worry about. Keep the numbers coming. A couple of Romans have fallen off, just the one Roman, but mostly it's the archers. Archers are not going to be a problem, it's the hoplites we have to worry about. Here we go. These guys are apparently firing. Not sure if they're actually getting any kills. Doesn't look like it. They do have to fire through the crenellations, so they're just gonna have a pretty hard time making that work. But that's the most they can do in this game, really. In this fight, I should say. In the open field, they'll be a lot better, or when defending. Peltas are going down. Hoplites have been slightly weakened, but once they actually come through en masse, that's when we have to get slightly worried. And when they lower their spears. Right now they seem to be very undecided. You can see they're all kind of glitching out. They can't decide whether to use their spears or their swords. Hopefully they'll pick the swords. If they pick the spears, it's going to be a lot tougher. Hoplites are in now. It's going to take some time to push through this, so I might make a cut here. Okay, the hoplites are broken. They're fighting to the death. I'm not sure why it never occurs to them that they can just run backwards and they'll be totally fine, but for some reason they've decided that they must stay on the wall, even though they've already given up, and they're just going to wait to get themselves killed. Sadly, they do seem to be getting a few kills on my my Roman soldiers, but should be in our favour. I think in Medieval 2 at least, possibly in Rome as well, if a unit is fighting to the death, I think its stats go down, or it gets slightly weaker. That's always been the impression I've got, because whenever I've found my units fighting to the death, they've rarely actually accomplished anything of note. That guy just straight up just ran off the wall. He wasn't gonna wait to get stabbed. He'd had enough. Right, okay, this has gone slightly better than last time. I think we can actually go for a proper push. First we need to actually take the walls formally. Still a few more to kill. We'll race through this. It's just pure butchery. That guy's jumped off as well. I think they're trying to run, but they've forgotten that gravity exists and they're just running off the wall. It says they're fleeing, it doesn't say they're... oh, it does say they're fighting to the death. Oblivious to the world, including the huge drop immediately on their left. I wonder if I can just run past them at this point. Or is that going to get me killed? Actually, I'm taking a few losses here. Are they taking any? No. No, they're not really. This is not worth it. I need to actually fight. Nope, I can't seem to select them anymore. There we go. Hoplites are all dead. Okay, and now their next unit of proper hoplites with big scary spears is going to try and engage us. And if this goes anything like last time, yeah, they're going to have problems with the pathfinding and they're just going to walk straight past us. Classic early Total War glitches there. I don't want to jinx it though, I'd rather that they do that than actually turn around and butcher us as we come through this tiny doorway. They're actually routing. They've routed one of my units. It's really bad. Everyone's fighting to the death. What on earth? What the hell happened? They're not doing anything. I may have spoken too soon. What are they even fighting? Who are you fighting? Why does it say they're fighting to the death? They're not fighting anyone. That's really stupid. Okay, our own hoplites, I think, are going to arrive shortly. Well, not too shortly, actually. Get out of the spear wall formation and run. Just need to bring in some actual competent units. I'm not sure what's even killing these guys. I'm totally confused by this. He seems to be taking heavy losses. Or at least some losses. We've got a proper unit of Hastati coming in now. What I'm actually going to do is one of my favourite things to do as the Romans in this game. So the idea of the Roman infantry is that before they charge, they throw their pilia, their javelins, at the opposing units. But actually, if you set them to fire at will mode, instead of just firing one volley of javelins and then charging in, they will actually throw several volleys of javelins, which is significantly better for softening these things up. We will attempt to do so. Looks like, yep, they are preparing to throw their first volley. Bring in as many as we can, just try and soften these up as much as possible before our own hoplites go in. They seem to be standing their ground. I'm gonna bring my general in, try and rouse the troops somehow with his horn. I'm not sure if it'll work. I'm not sure why they're even routing, that's kind of ridiculous. Goes to show the kind of things I was up against last time I attempted this though. If I get through the fight with one or two relatively intact units, that's probably good enough. Still fighting to the death somehow. I have no idea what's going on with this game. What are they even... Are they fighting anything at all? Oh, maybe they're getting shot by the arrow towers, which should be ours. It's just the gateway is ours, but it does still have the Greek flags on it. How's this going? They're down to 104. I think we're good to push in with 160 hoplites. That should be okay. Here we go. Hoplites v hoplites. We've got the number advantage. Should be an okay fight. I seem to be getting shot from the other arrow towers actually. But still, they are. I think they're getting massacred more quickly than we are. They seem to have gone for their swords. We're still mostly using spears, I think. And they're routing. Good. Okay. Time to begin the push on the town square. Here they have their general unit, probably the biggest threat of the bunch, and most likely we're going to want our hoplites to be on the front to deal with that. Got a few units here. They've kind of... most of the Hastati have regained their courage. We're going to want to bring them up just to try and use those javelins. Soften up this bodyguard. All the hoplites in the centre of the town square there are going to be a problem. Can't use our Roman general for that. Got peltasts too. They should be able to lure them in if we need to. Still taking heavy arrow fire, which must be from the towers, but... I'm not sure who's shooting me. Unless it's still this tower here. That's some distance away. Don't want to risk taking them out of phalanx formation, just gonna speed this up, I think. Okay, here we go. So, hoplites on the front line, in the back. Javelin support. We can just get them in some kind of formation that's not facing backwards. Nope. There we go. Looks like they're all gonna just have a big mass there in the middle. I'll try and lure them in with the peltasts. Alternatively, if we actually make contact with the town square, I think that rouses them too, but I'm not necessarily desperate to do that. This might actually trigger them. Not just yet. So we've got this huge line of infantry here who should soften them up with the javelins. Generals in the back, potentially. Could come round. But I don't want to get shot by the arrow towers on my way. Guys are still regrouping somehow. Here we go. Peltasts are going to go in. They're going to throw some javelins. Not sure why they're so determined to get that close. Velites, I should say, not peltasts. They're going to try and run away. They're going to get killed. But now these guys should start throwing their javelins, I think. I would have thought they'd be in range. They're going to charge into the hoplites. They're actually doing a pretty good job of cutting through the spears there. Now they don't seem to want to throw their javelins for some reason, so... just going to have to go for a fairly conventional attack here. Some units already given up. Going to have to bring in the general. Try and keep their courage going. The general seems totally confident. Our hoplites have given up, which is really bad because they're probably our best unit taking on the general's men here. I need to rouse whoever I can. as soon as possible. I'm not sure how close I have to be to actually use my horn successfully. Didn't seem to work either. Let's just try and take the general out at least. Okay, general seems to be losing confidence. Hoplites could do some serious damage to our general units here. Need to be very careful.
The enemy's general is slain, and now his men fear us. It is time
Excellent.
to press the attack.
Perhaps now. There we go. They're all firing. Throwing in their javelins. Should soften them up a bit. You can see their numbers going down. Now I think we mass attack. Hope for the best. Try and get the general round the back. Charge him from behind. If we end up charging into the spears somehow, that's just going to be absolutely terrible. But if we hit them from the back, we should be able to do some absolutely massive damage. We can't rout them while they're in the town square. That's one problem. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do not charge into the spears. I don't know what this guy's doing. I mean, he's kind of getting them from behind, but not really. How are these guys doing? They're shaken. Let's charge them from behind before they turn around. That is the worst charge I've seen in my life. But I think that's okay. They're still facing the other way with their spears. And they're losing hope. And that's the best we can hope for. Some of the horsemen have come around the front, which is going to get them killed pretty quickly. Hopefully none of them are the actual general. Units still seem to be firing into their own men. Don't want that to happen. No, that's a really terrible idea. All of you need to back off. We pushed one of the hoplites out of the town square, so they actually are able to rout now, and they're just going to run straight through our units and get themselves killed.
Praised. The enemy's hearts are full of fear, and now they flee.
And we win.
Our
Not the best fight,
have gained victory today.
but worth it to take over what I assume is a very good town very quickly. It must be a pretty good town, like judging by the size of the walls, it's got to be pretty high income, I think. We were given a choice between occupying, enslaving, and exterminating. They don't like us. Ordinarily, the first settlement that you take over on any Total War game is going to be fairly easy to appease, but they don't seem to like us. Unfortunately, I can't see just how badly they dislike us. I could enslave them, but I'm going to occupy and hope that they don't rebel. They surely wouldn't rebel immediately, I hope. Public order is 55%. If we lower that, lower the tax rates up to 85%, that's relatively content. We can go straight in with a shrine to Neptune here. Pretty tempting. Militia Barracks is also very tempting because we're going to need to replenish our Hastati as soon as possible, and I think that's the sensible choice. We can also recruit a Byreme to help wrest control of the seas. How much do they need in upkeep? Only 100, so that's not too bad. Town Watch are good at keeping order, they're not so good at fighting. Let's recruit Hastati again. And not sure it's worth recruiting another Town Watch. How much do they charge? 100 upkeep, that's surely not worth it. I think a Byreme would be good. And yeah, I need to get Militia Barracks here because Hastati is really the absolute bare minimum for actually making progress here.
Set sail!
So Carthage is just here to our west, and it's a big potential threat.
Yes,
I'm gonna see what they've got. Not sure how to pronounce that. Lilybaum. 100% chance of success. Looks fairly open. You can see from the flag, so if you look at a town, you can see that there's like a kind of faded blue flag there. If you look at the very bottom of the flag, or the banner, whatever you want to call it, there is a very slight blue tint, which indicates how much of a military is in there. So you can see there's slightly more in the town of Syracuse right now. Although that army is pretty badly wounded. And 41 upkeep on the mercenary hoplites. That's the upside. We should make quite a lot of money now. You can see that we're getting 757 from Capua, 728 from Masada, and 338 from Syracuse. And we should get a reward as well. I'm not sure what that reward is going to be. We can check on the Senate screen, I think. Senate missions. Oh, we've done it. It says right here. Okay. 5,000 denarii. That's going to help us keep the momentum up. I think we should wait at least one more turn before we go on the offensive again. Now, I did once do a test run as the Scipii, and I tried to focus to the east and take on the Greeks, but the Carthaginians were not trustworthy at all. Could not keep them on side, despite my best efforts. I should use my diplomat. I should go out and start meeting some people and trying to get some trade rights. I think I'm forced to go to war with anyone that my allies are at war with, but we'll see. We'll speak to the Gauls, see if they want to trade with us. I presume we've already got trade rights with our fellow Roman factions. Yeah, I think we have to end the turn there. Okay, they want us to go to war with Carthage as well, immediately. We'll be rewarded with one of the best units we can recruit. Hopefully that's something slightly better than Hastati.
Yes, master.
100% chance of success. Is there a hidden army somewhere? I feel like there should be. This seems a bit too easy. It could come on the attack. So there aren't any major consequences to not obeying the Senate at least one time. I think if you keep disobeying them, they become very angry. But if you disobey them once, I don't think there's like a serious downside to that. And the temptation is there to go east and take on the Greeks, try and take Sparta. It's always a nice town to have. This game is not entirely historical in some ways. I used to think it was like the epitome of historical accuracy, but it's really not. They kind of buy into the myths of the Spartans with their ridiculously elite Spartan hoplites and things. I'm sure that the Spartan hoplites were very good, but I think, you know, if you're looking at a film like 300, you might get a slightly embellished idea of how strong those hoplites actually were. Okay, we're in the town. It's very weak. The problem is, he is going to be capable of coming across with some kind of stronger army. And I don't think I can stop him unless I block all of his ports somehow. With my fairly mediocre navy. Which is still, like, not much worse than his. Here I'm going to get the Militia Barracks. I think we need to up our unit production a bit. I'm going to get a bireme because I think we might go to war with Carthage. And I'm going to get another bireme. Because I think stopping them from reinforcing Lilybaum is going to be pretty important if we can do it. Put lots of money from the Senate there. That's another advantage we have over everyone else. Paved roads. Good for trade. Don't need to worry about getting a wooden wall. I really don't think we're going to get attacked. Stables for Equites. They're not too bad. I think they're pretty bad. I think those are the ones that... No. So there are these cavalry archer units that are kind of mediocre, but I think Equites are just conventional cavalry. They should be alright. I don't care for Velites. I think they're pretty good against elephants, but I'm not sure the Carthaginians are actually going to get the chance to get some serious elephant forces going. And then we have the choice between Shrine to Vulcan, Neptune, and Saturn. I don't think we need the Shrine to Saturn. I don't think we need to appease our people that much. I think there's a strong potential argument for actually going down the Pantheon route of the higher experience bonus. That's going to be useful if we do find ourselves fighting the Romans. And we already have several other towns which are going to go down the Neptune route. That might be the best option. Let's trying to Vulcan. Yep, let's do that. Not too many other ways to embellish our income right now. Let's go for that. And we've at least made our choice about which road to go down. And yeah, it's time to decide, do we go west? Do we annoy the Carthaginians immediately? Or do we somehow try and put them off from actually attacking us? And go east. Attempt to make some conquests before the Brutii take over the entire continent, which would make them much tougher to deal with later on in the campaign. But I think I'm going to end the part there, so I hope you enjoyed it. There will be a link to the playlist in the description, where if you're watching this video sometime after it's been uploaded, you'll be able to find many more episodes and just click through them. On the other hand, if you're watching it now, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next part.